Hi, this is Junaid, neurocritical care stroke and epilepsy specialist. We're going to continue our discussion with Big Ideas 2023. We discussed last time autonomous logistics with autonomous ride hailing, and now we're going to move on to robotics and 3D printing. Believe it or not, this is going to be part and parcel of our future, and we're going to explore how this is going to be an important part of the future, and it's definitely impacts overall job market in the world. And this is very important for us to understand, even as physicians, because how the outside system works, how it affects, and it will affect significantly on social determinants of health, etc. So, so 3D printing is becoming part and parcel already. We're going to give you some examples, especially in healthcare. But the main focus would be actually robotics, because robotics have been developing at an extraordinary pace. As a matter of fact, they are recommending that they're going to have 80% annual rate of growth, and it's going to be 70 billion, which is in 2022, to 9 trillion. That's a huge jump as we explore further how robotics are going to be part and parcel. Now, the adoption of automation typically accelerates during recessions and crises. It's very common, unfortunately, and that's what exactly happened because of COVID. There was a sudden acceleration that happened, and one of the reasons was that there were not enough people to find, work for, and therefore this ended up becoming an important issue, and therefore we see a significant uptick of robotics as we go along. It was already going high, but then when you see that because of a specific crisis and everything, automation is always important. Unfortunately, wars is one of those in which we have seen a lot of automation being increased significantly. Robot performance has improved 33-fold in past 7 years. That's huge. I mean, if you look from 2015 all the way to this, now they are actually competing with, a human level of performance. And again, there are clear examples of it. Let me give you one example. So, for example, fast food industry, one of the biggest issue was frying, I don't know, French fries or something. That frying was very, very monotonous, repeatable stuff. With the advent of artificial intelligence and computer vision, now robots can do that task faster, better, easier, non-fatigable, non-sickable, right? Because robots don't get fatigued, don't get sick, and therefore there are now robots which are actually around $22,000 or so. As a matter of fact, they have done the price comparison, and they're saying that companies that have switched to robotic fryers, literally they pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down, are actually saving more money as compared to hiring human beings. And of course, humans are not willing to do that work. It's hot, you can burn, etc. It's really tedious labor that honestly they had trouble finding people for. So all in all, we're saying that they have increased in performance, and as they continue to increase in performance, and you can see with the advent of chat gpt, natural language processing, there's a big video out there that Google has actually shown their particular robots working with their artificial intelligence, that they can just command voice by a voice and it can perform things. So clearly it is just the start at the moment. Amazon could be approaching an inflection point. What do you mean by that? So Amazon, of course, been using robotics heavily in their, um, especially at the back end where the distribution centers are. And you might have seen videos on YouTube about it, like they're picking stuff and dropping it in buckets and then moving it around throughout the whole distribution center, because items can be, far away, and these big distribution centers are multiple football fields long. And as you can see, that robots are becoming more and more parts. So this dark one is actually the robot, and the light one is the humans, and they're actually increasing the human. But as you can see, the robots are actually becoming more and more common too. And as you can see, as they can automate more and more, they will end up automating it. There are clear, studies been done from Amazon directly, that which items are best to be picked by humans, which are best to be picked by robots, smaller items that require this, blah, blah, blah. And they've done all the work, and they're all slowly automating more and more within the distributions, the use of robots. Manufacturing is huge. I mean, to be honest with you, manufacturing is actually becoming a significant problem here in the United States, especially when you're looking at housing and everything. And we are constantly moving towards technologies that are 3D printed houses. So now we are really moving away from traditional brick and mortar houses, not brick and mortar over here per se, because it's all made of wood. We are immensely seeing that a lot of robotics are coming into these situations. 3D printing should impact industries, many industries, clearly. So one of the biggest one is aerospace and defense. I mean, clearly that is the huge, always going to be the biggest usage of robotics. Then we have the machinery, clearly, uh, excavators and all of these being machines that can be completely automated, including, fertilizers on farms, etc. You're going to see that those machines are going to be, interestingly, healthcare. Now, so what is this 3D printing in healthcare to do? Let me give you an example. So I'm a neurocritical care physician. I run a neuro ICU. When a neurosurgeon actually takes the cap off and has to do some surgeries, etc., we sometimes cannot put that cap off. We refrigerate it. We might use it, but generally speaking, we create a 3D printed skull cap again and then put it back on rather than using the patient's own original skull. There are multiple reasons for it, blah blah blah. And then of course, healthcare has other areas like augmentation. Amputation amputees can use different kinds of robotic arms and legs for movement, etc. So that's a completely separate category. But then we have been using knees, we've been using skulls that are 3D printing. So, of course, aerospace and defense, machines, healthcare, all of them are going to be impacted by 3D printing as well. Um, Most of the time, as you can see, the prototyping is done, a lot of it, and it is going up to 72%. And as you can see, the 3D printing increases the capacity. As long as they get bigger, you can make bigger prototypes. You're going to see a lot of prototyping is going to be done, and research and development, of course, I believe is one area. But the production of parts, this is one thing that has been exponentially explored by companies here in US. Car companies, even Tesla has been experimenting it, that the parts that are replacement parts can be 3D printed on demand and then shipped to the distribution centers. And especially the newer companies that are having these vertical integration like Tesla, they are actually looking deeply into creating 3D printed parts for their cars, etc. So we're looking at it. A lot of these companies are going into this area. As I said, healthcare has going to be an important area, and it is already making a huge difference in the operating room. It is going to continue to be an important thing moving forward, because surgery with 3D printed tools, guides, models shorten time and improve in accuracy. And this is, again, those who have been especially in very what we call microsurgical processes like skull-based surgeries, etc. You actually might have to really print the tool itself fitting for that particular surgery in itself. So you just print it right there, use it for your surgery. The tool is then actually discarded. I have personally not seen it used. Again, I'm not in the operating room that much, but again, I'm not surprised that this is one of those areas where we're going to see a significant impact in the future. Um, Again, I mean, everything comes back to AI, and that's where the key thing is. AI so many improves it, right? I mean, again, you print something, you give an example to the AI, then you print it, and then it says, okay, this is different from this, etc. AI, unfortunately, improves freaking everything, and you can train the AI to actually create better 3D models that will include accuracy, strength, and repeatability. And part of creating the strength is that if you can use less material while creating the same amount of tensile strength, because you can use the inside of it hollow and use a cob or a mesh or something, that will actually increase significantly on the cost. And then when you are actually producing it in a way that it is more repeatable, then 3D printing becomes more mainstream, because then you can create a process. When you can create a process in which you can repeat it, that's just huge, and that will change the way things work. And honestly, um, the geopolitical tensions between America and China is because one of the reasons is that America understands within the next 5 to 10 years our need for getting these mass-produced, material from, China is going to change, because a lot of it does not require highly skilled human labor that is generally available in China, but it's going to be 3D printed. So again, it is a big opportunity in the market in the future. In the next lecture, we'll be talking about orbital aerospace. Thank you so much for your time.